Hi, my name is Scott Larson, and I'm a lecturer for an American culture, and I also serve as the undergraduate advisor for students in American culture, as well as students in any of our ethnic studies units. American culture is home to 4 different ethnic studies units: Asian Pacific Islander American Culture Studies, Arab Muslim American Cultural Studies, Latino American Cultural Studies, and Native American Cultural Studies. We are also proud to partner with the Department of African and Afro-American Studies so that students who are interested in African-American, African, and Black studies can incorporate those studies as part of an American culture ethnic studies major or minor. Students interested in American culture and ethnic studies are always welcome to talk to me about a major, a minor, or about career opportunities beyond their life at the University of Michigan. Students who study American culture and ethnic studies go on to careers in community organizing and activism. They work for arts and community organizations, places like museums. They work in communications and digital media. Some go into education or educational policy. People engage in advocacy and public policy work in a range of places like environmental advocacy. They work with law organizations or public health organizations. Some go on to advanced graduate work in law school or social work. Others go on to pursue PhD work in American culture and ethnic studies. That's just a small sample of the kinds of things students do. Some of them go on to work for corporations like the Ford Motor Company, work for labor organizations at local or national levels, go on to work for sporting organizations like the US Olympic Committee. Here to talk more about what you can do with a degree in American culture or ethnic studies and how to use the LSA Opportunity Hub to think about how to put your education to work. I'm here to talk with Kate Silbert, who works for the LSA Opportunity Hub.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Silbert, and I am a coach and lead instructor at the LSA Opportunity Hub. For those of you new to the Hub and what we do, we are a career exploration center on campus specifically for LSA undergraduate students. So in my role there, I work one-on-one with students as they are working on their professional development and exploring their goals and interests. But I also lead workshops and then teach 2 classes.
Can you just quickly tell us some of the major things that the LSA Opportunity Hub does for students in LSA?
So one thing students can do is connect with alumni and employers. So at the Hub, we have a couple of both events and resources to really help support you in doing that. One is a platform called LSA Connect, which is a space online just for LSA students to identify alums who are from all different kinds of majors. They're in all different kinds of industries, to find people that can help answer your questions about what it's like to go into a particular career and navigate professional life. Another way students can connect is through events. So we regularly host employer connection events. And so we have employer partners come and offer right now virtually opportunities for students to learn more about not just their organization, but some of the things that employers expect. So it can be everything from designing a great sales pitch to doing a technical interview to even kind of getting their eyes on your resume. Finally, we also host alumni connection events. And so these are a great starting place if you're feeling a little intimidated about reaching out on your own to an alum. This is an opportunity where alums will come in and meet with a small group of students. They'll talk a bit about their journey from LSA to what they do now. And there's a space to ask questions.
So when you say you're connecting with alums, you can connect with people who are lawyers or who are artists or who work in museums or who work as educators or work in public policy. You can actually talk to those people and find out how they got where they are and what kinds of things they do in their job or what kinds of training they needed to do the job they do. So if I was a student, and I will say when I was an undergraduate, I was this student who isn't really sure where to start thinking about what kinds of careers I'm interested in. I know I'm interested in studying about race and ethnicity or studying about American culture, but I just don't quite know what's next. What would you suggest?
One great way is to connect with us for Hub coaching. So we offer one-on-one appointments with students in a couple of different forms. We host drop-in hours on Monday mornings and Thursday afternoons. We also offer 45-minute scheduled appointments. So if you know I want to really get started on my resume, or I'm writing a cover letter for the first time, that can also be a really good space to just share where you're starting from. And then a coach will work with you to explore resources, get started on that process, and make sure you're ready to kind of keep going from there.
So can you tell me a little bit more about internship opportunities? Because that's a really important step for a lot of people in getting ready to both get a job or to know what kinds of jobs you're looking for.
Yeah, we really value helping students connect to internship opportunities and also have funding to support undertaking those opportunities at the Hub. So we have a specialized platform for LSA students to use called the LSA Opportunity Network. And so that's a place where Hub staff are both crafting internship opportunities for our Hub internship program, opportunities that they are putting together, often with LSA alums and exclusively for LSA students, to engage with that on the ground, in the field experience. But the network also has other internship and kind of experiential learning opportunities for the summer and sometimes during the academic year. So it's a good place, a relatively contained place, to start looking for opportunities that might be of interest. I also want to put in a plug for the LSA Internship Scholarship. So this is up to $7,500 of support to help cover the cost of an internship. So if you're a student that receives financial aid or is eligible for that, chances are you are eligible for that scholarship. And whether or not your internship is paid or unpaid, you basically put together a budget for your summer and can work with both Hub staff and LSA scholarships to apply for that funding opportunity.
So I want to talk specifically about what kinds of career options are available or career paths are available for people who study American culture and ethnic studies, either as a major or a minor, or are particularly interested in the work of racial justice or social equality. Can you tell us a little bit about how that fits into a career beyond the university?
So for careers related to racial justice or social equality, right, diversity, equity, and inclusion, there are a few avenues you can use to kind of figure out what's out there. So one is to start with the organization's mission, identifying organizations that are really devoted to this work, right? It's baked into what it is they do and what they say their purpose is. And so one way to do that would be to, on a platform like LinkedIn, you can actually search racial justice organization as a kind of keyword search and filter by company. And that'll bring, organizations that are on LinkedIn, and fall into that category. It'll bring you a list of those to start exploring. There's so many subfields when we talk about, organizations that are doing racial justice work or equity work. So you can also kind of pair things together, right? I want to find the organizations that are doing criminal justice reform. I want to find the organizations that are working on climate justice, on public health equity. So that's the first way, is kind of go by what the organization is doing. There's another set of these opportunities that are really based on the focus of the role itself. So you can think of, what maybe already comes to mind of community organizers or advocates working kind of in direct service or on the ground, but also more and more, companies are building diversity, equity, and inclusion into their overall practices and work. And so they need specialists for that. They need researchers to help them do diversity, equity, and inclusion better as a business practice. And then finally, you can think about things like being a policy analyst at different levels of government, from the local up to the federal and even global in scale, but doing that with a mindset or a focus on creating more equitable or inclusive policies and processes. The last thing is to, if this is an interest and a commitment, to bring it into your work because it matters to you. So there's an alum that comes to mind that works as a journalist doing special projects at CNN. And another part of their profile is that they are really actively involved in advocating for more diversity and inclusion in their newsroom, and even in a pipeline program to really help expose high school and college students, particularly those who have been underrepresented in the field of journalism, really to that work early on, to help channel them into those opportunities. conversations around how to do diversity, equity, and inclusion more authentically, more consistently, and with more impact are really in so many different industries and subfields right now. And so if it's a commitment that you carry, expertise that you have, I think there's a place to find, find good use for that really in any field right now.
Even if you're not an American culture major or minor, one of the things that we do in American culture is talk about things like critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, and also a kind of cultural competency and understanding difference and power in the way that works in the world. How is that something that's important to employers broadly?
So one thing we use at the Hub a lot is something called the career readiness competencies. And so this is a list of 8 key competencies, so skills and abilities that employers look for, recent college graduates to bring with them into their work. All of the things, Scott, that you were just saying around critical thinking and problem solving, oral and written communication, collaboration, digital technology and familiarity with that are on here. And specifically, I want to highlight that global and intercultural fluency is one of the competencies that consistently, has been part of this list of 8. NACE defines this particular competency of global and intercultural fluency like this: value, respect, and learn from diverse cultures, races, ages, genders, sexual orientations, and religions. The individual demonstrates openness, inclusiveness, sensitivity, and the ability to interact respectfully with all people and understand individuals' differences. So that definition really speaks to what, Scott, you were sharing around when you have a background around race and ethnicity or in ethnic studies, are prepared to discuss the nuances and context that goes into how we work across difference, or where there might be inequities within our social structures. That's what this particular competency is speaking to and reflecting as something that employers value.
So just to draw another connection with what you're saying is, I know that one of the things that a lot of students say when they come into my classes, or especially classes dealing with race and ethnicity, is that a lot of students feel really uncomfortable talking about race and ethnicity and other forms of difference. And what you're saying is that employers are expecting people to have some of those skills, and that they look for those skills, and that developing those skills here in these classrooms is meaningful, not just because it matters as a person or because it matters to society more broadly, but also because employers want people who can work respectfully with people who are different from them.
We even did a quick kind of poll. One of my colleagues works directly with the Hub employer partners, and they put together a quick survey to ask, what is your take on candidates coming in with a strong background in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, or what those practices look like in the workplace. And the majority of them said, we would absolutely consider this an asset. And a few of them even said, we are currently building this into how we evaluate candidates, so making it a formal part of the process. And certainly more and more employers are really recognizing that diversity, equity, and inclusion as a business practice is not just, an initiative to have tacked on to their HR department, but needs to be infused throughout their organizational practice, not just internally for their staff, but in the bigger picture of, their supply chain and how they interact with communities and who their customer base is, and how they are more equitable in their thinking around some of those things. So absolutely something that employers value, look for, would like to see candidates bring.
All right, thank you so much for being with us today and for being a contact for our students at the Opportunity Hub.
My pleasure, and thanks for inviting me to be here, Scott.